I want to do a thought experiment with you. Okay, so just for a moment, the imaginations. So here's this envelope. I'm waving it around. It's got a squiggle on the front. You can't quite read it. And I'm telling you, trust me, that squiggle is your name. So there's an envelope for you here. And inside is a handwritten letter from God to you, telling you personally what your vocation is and how you will fulfill it. It says, now don't take anything by these names, they are random names, so if you are called Mary, just forget this, okay? But they say, for example, Mary, you have a vocation to marry, and you will marry person X at some time. Another letter says, John, you have a vocation to the priesthood in this particular diocese, whichever it is. Another, random Catholic names here, says, Bernadette, you have a vocation to be an apostolic sister in this particular religious order. And another letter says, Patrick, you've got a vocation to be a contemplative monk in a particular monastery at the bottom of the note. So I place this pile of envelopes on the side table here, and you have a choice to take it at the end of Mass or to leave it. And if you don't want to take it, that's fine, and those envelopes will be burnt straight after Mass. And this is your one opportunity. So the question, the thought experiment, do you come and collect the envelope at the end of Mass? Well, I imagine most of you, well, you wouldn't wait till the end of Mass, you'd storm the table now, wouldn't you? Yeah? How could you not, just out of sheer curiosity, with the only chance today to find this out, how could you not go to the envelope, open it and read it? If nothing else, out of curiosity. But I hope that one or two of you would be honest enough to say, no thank you. No thank you. I don't want to know, for some of you. I just don't want to know that. Or, I'm not ready to find out yet. Or, I want to discover it in my own way, at my own time, not by having an envelope waved in my face at the end of Mass. So have a think, and tell me next week what your answer is. Or tell me at the end of Mass, because I'm going to burn the envelopes then. So why do I suggest this? Obviously, because it helps us to think about vocation, just prods us to think about it in a different way, but it helps us to think about what vocation is and what it isn't. That's what I really want to think about in the light of the Gospel. Because on the one hand, this letter experiment is nothing like reality. It is not how God works, on the one hand. Because usually our vocation to be husband, wife, sister, brother, priest, monk, whatever, usually our vocation does not come out of the blue like this, does it? Instead, it grows out of our lives, out of our hearts. God doesn't play games with us. He doesn't say, well, I'll take you down this road for 30 years and then, ha-ha, I'm going to trick you. Yeah, that's not God. That's not the loving God that we know. He has given us, He's given you this mind, this heart, this history. He's given you these passions, these interests, these desires and talents, and out of all of this, who you are, normally, you see a vocation growing and emerging, naturally, gradually, beautifully. Most husbands and wives I know have always wanted to be husbands and wives, mothers and fathers. Many priests I know have had a deep longing to be a priest for many years, going back to teenage years and even beyond. My friend Jed Now, this was not me, but my friend Jed at seminary told me that he was making cardboard altars in the garden at age 5 and celebrating Mass with ice cream wafers. So a vocation can be very deeply a part of us for a long, long time. And actually this was last week's Gospel, the beginning of John, where we see the apostles last week discovering their vocations gradually. Do you remember that? John the Baptist is friends with Andrew. He points him to Jesus. He goes to meet Jesus, spends time with him, goes home, tells his brother Peter. He takes Peter to Jesus. They get to know each other. It's a gradual, natural process of getting to know the Lord and getting to know oneself, and out of that, vocation emerging. I said on the one hand, but on the other hand, the letter experiment reminds us of another side of vocation, that sometimes a vocation can take us by surprise. And that's what we heard in today's Gospel, where we hear a different aspect of the call, where the apostles are just getting on with their ordinary lives, fishing in their boats, casting the nets, mending the nets, working with their father, with their colleagues. They are pretty set in their ways. This is their life. And almost out of nowhere, like the letter, Jesus comes onto the shore and he says, "Follow me. I will make you fishers of men. I've got something completely unexpected for you, something new, something you haven't been planning. You haven't been playing games about this in the garden. You don't even know yet that it's right for you, but trust me, it is." Unexpected, surprising. But even this, do you see the phrase fishers of men? Even this, there's a unity, because it calls something in Peter and Andrew and James and John that is already part of them, to be fishermen, but to take them to fish in a new way, in a way they weren't planning for. So sometimes, this is on the other hand, our vocation can be not the obvious thing. It can be not the thing that we have always wanted or always been dreaming of. It might seem mysterious, incomprehensible, annoying, unwanted. Just 2 little stories of unexpected vocation. At New Year's Eve, I was at this retreat, this Youth 2000 retreat, and I met a wonderful Mother Teresa sister from America working in Birmingham. And she told me her story of vocation. This isn't confidential. She was telling some of us in the dining room. She said she was 16. She had no notion whatever of religious vocation. She just assumed she'd get a job and get married and wanted that. And she was at a retreat, and there was a moment when people were invited to come to the front and kneel before the Blessed Sacrament, and she found herself kneeling next to a nun. So she knelt before Jesus and she said, "I'm going to offer up all my prayers for the sister sitting kneeling next to me." And she prayed intensely for this sister. And in that very moment, God said to her, I don't know whether he used words, but he spoke to her, he touched her heart very, very clearly and said to her, "I want you to be a sister." And she's sitting there, she's kneeling there, looking up at the Lord, and she says, No, you've got the wrong person. I'm praying for the sister next to me. Yeah? I'm not praying for me. And Jesus said to her, "No, you're praying for her, but I'm calling you." And it sounds like the kind of thing that's just a moment and it passes. But she went to join the Mother Teresa sisters a year later, and 20 years later we're having supper on Gower Street here. 20 years of vocation. And another vocation twist, as it were, a dear friend of mine, James, So we arrived in 1992 in the English College Seminary in Rome on the same day. First years to be priests. We couldn't speak a word of Italian. We're going to an Italian university in 2 weeks, so it's not very helpful. But anyway, we couldn't speak any Italian, so they give us intensive Italian lessons in the seminary. 3 months later, James is in love with Angela, our Italian teacher. 9 months later, James is engaged to Angela, our Italian teacher. And after a beautiful marriage, which I was there as a seminarian, I wasn't a priest yet, a beautiful marriage and 2 beautiful young daughters, they've had such a blessed marriage, and just the call to their vocation. And very sadly, Angela died quite recently of cancer. So just, pray for them and pray for their family. But the blessing of vocation, the blessing of James, of marriage, of family life, and what an unexpected gift to someone who thought he was meant to be a priest. So look, I've said on the one hand, on the other hand, you can see I've said something very simple, and it's really all that the gospel is telling us. Each of us, each of you, most of you are single. You have an unknown vocation, but you have a call in your life. God is calling you. He's calling you to love him, to love your neighbour, to give your life to him in service, and to discover your vocation, whatever it is and whatever it will be. He has great plans for you. And all I'm saying, really, in the light of this gospel is trust him and be open to him. Because sometimes your vocation, as I've said, will grow in a very natural way out of who you are and what you hope and dream for. But sometimes it will surprise you and it will amaze you. And it will not be quite what you're expecting or even what you think you want. You might feel pulled or pushed or nudged or prodded or shoved. God works in different ways. And I suppose the big thing I want you to take away from this Mass, from this Gospel, this sermon, is please be open to your vocation. Be open. You might have hopes and prayers and dreams, and if that's the case, pray for them, of course. We grow by praying. We learn God's will by praying. But don't be stubbornly clinging to one idea of what you think you're going to do with your life. Not at your age, not now. Be open. Say to God in your prayers at this time in your life, tonight, Lord, I actually don't know what you want me to do. Please guide me and help me to be open to what you wish for me, rather than just me banging the table telling you what I want you to do for me. That sentence got a bit complicated, but I think you understand, yeah? We all know what we want, but sometimes, especially when we're young, when we're open, when things are not certain yet, please, in your heart, in your prayer, have the courage and the simplicity to say, Lord, what do you want for me? What is your call? What is your vocation? That openness of heart, that honest prayer, is the greatest gift that you can give to God. Because it is the gift of your life, isn't it? Here is my life, Lord. I love you, I trust you. Where do you want to lead me? What do you want for me? What do you want of my life? It's nothing more than you pray in the Our Father every day when you say, Thy will be done. Only we don't always really stop to think what that means when we say it. So the gift of vocation, the gift of God's call, let's pray that all of us can be more and more open to that in our lives and in our prayer.